All right, so now to talk about the best that the small screen had to offer, right? So
Right.
before we talk about best TV shows of this year, Ricardo, you have a special list for us. So I'm gonna shut up now and yeah, take it away.
No,
Share your
that's
list.
not long. It's not long. Just video games on TikTok and online stuff. So nothing really you would mention. Cause I just have this quick before TV anyway. Um, I don't really have a TV list. I just have just general stuff I watch this year. But yeah, video games. Good year for video games. Kind of. Is I wish I played more, but is the little I got was pretty good. So I'll say my video games are first game Khazan, the first Berserker. This is a pretty cool action RPG. Smaller, studio did it. It was more comparable to a game like Neo. Really solid story, and I thought this was really great. Cronos: The New Dawn. I thought it was pretty great. Yeah, what this is that it's kind of like a mix of Resident Evil mix and Silent Hill mix with 12 monkeys. Just think of that, and that's what is going on there. Nice weird
Huh.
sci-fi. Yeah, nice
You
weird.
had me at 12 monkeys.
Yeah, nice weird sci-fi time loopy kind of something going on, and it's really good character stuff. Ninja Gaiden 4, yeah, Ninja Gaiden 4 came out, that was hot. Nice dual roles. I wish we got more Ryu Hayabusa, but still pretty good, and I enjoyed it. Death Stranding 2, pretty damn good. Good
I heard
follow
it
up to the,
was.
to
I
the
heard it
original.
was. Mhm.
Yeah, follow up to the thing and make it. I think it's a good sequel. Um, Ghost of Yotei, good sequel
Mm.
to Ghost of Tsushima, right? A really solid outing. Um, Arc Raiders, I had a lot of fun with this. This is a nice little like co-op shooter kind of thing. While we get a good co-op shooter, it's a shame we don't get more Mass Effect, but whatever. Um, um, Evil Egg. This is a nice little weird one.
What?
Yeah, Evil Egg. Yeah, nice weird one. You're going to enjoy it. It's a nice throwback. And I had a lot of fun with that. Right, so this is the weird one where I want to talk about TikTok, and I don't know if I'll look like the villain here, but some of this is AI produced, and I can't believe I'm backing us a couple of AI produced stuff. But this is where I think AI could kind of maybe work, right? As its utility. I've never been like super anti AI. The way I feel about AI is the same way I feel about GMOs. It's clearly one of those arrow in the quiver type arguments where it's a lot of bad faith actors going to engage in it, but when time pass, over time, that person, the tool will stay, but the good actors will kind of flourish, hopefully, over time. But right now, the bad actors flourishing, so we had to kind of treat everything as verboten, and I understand that. Perfect example is Monsanto, right? If the channel Veritasium has an anti-Monsanto video, I think my side win the argument, right? I don't know, but it's not necessarily an anti-GMO argument, right? Can I say how I feel about AI? Like I could see with time and the proper creative work and who doing what with what. Um, AI could be what we call AI, at least the utility of LLMs could become a thing. But right now, there's a lot of trash, right? There's a lot of fucking trash, a lot of trash people involved. But I was thinking, like, where the actual AI people who actually going to create something interesting going to come from as scoring the internet for a couple of this? And this is the closest I could get to an answer. So the first one is a guy called Ejioku Dennis. And what this guy does is he just use like just crappy AI apps to basically do this the whole bit is just making basically a hip hop version of like Dragon Ball Z, but it's in the same vein as Dragon Ball, like the parody stuff, and it's just him making hip hop jokes, but he clearly using like AI to do the voice work to mix up the stuff and take this. And it's mostly AI in the framework of on your computer. So I don't think it's it's not going on some server somewhere and burning up a river or whatever. But it's mostly anything, and this stuff is funny. I don't care what nobody say. I think this dude is really funny. It's just him, cutting together stuff, doing the songboard humor, doing a lot of pop culture memes, and it's all in the context of Dragon Ball Z, mostly focusing on Piccolo and Gohan in the dap up competition and the what is the aura farming competition. And that shit is hilarious. This dude has been, really fantastic stuff for the year. The second AI people, and this is the last AI stuff, is two people called the Pale Lodge and the Archive in Between. I think this stuff is really clever. Again, it's still AI stuff. Again, I'm not sure if what they're doing in terms of the thing, but what they do is just take like a lot of like weird like sci-fi stuff, and it's like multiverse, weird high-end sci-fi, dark fantasy aesthetic, and then apply it to the thing. And I think this stuff is really clever for what it's trying to do. It's very similar to a book idea I have I kind of get started on, but it's similar idea of multiverse, but we have to come together and everybody working together in a multiverse kind of thing, and they're making it work for what it was. And yeah, I don't know. Like this stuff just is really, really funny and clever stuff. Yeah, so that's about it. Another TikToker I kind of like is a guy called Marco. Shout out to this dude. I think this is a really clever idea for what his premise is. So what this guy does is it's like he'll just do food reviews, but he's like a kind of like the way how he does food because he making fun of like people doing like messed up food stuff, and what it is him just being incredibly judgmental of bad behavior when it comes to food. So a person frying an egg a certain way, or a person like mixing this thing in the freezer with another thing. I was like, yeah, you're not supposed to do that in this way. But it's hilarious how he does it because he's part of like a dark council, and the council is judgmental of food because food is like he treats food like witchcraft, and there's a whole like role playing beat it. And there are a couple others who do this like as well. Let's have this black woman. She's from Britain, I think, and she does like she's like a judge, and she'll say, oh, well, if you do this crappy thing, you bring it to the food, she'll judge the person as if they're part of a judge thing. And it's a whole like performative thing with the audience, and everybody start making like jokes about it because like, she'll like send you your Uber driver to drop you to give this crappy food to the people. And like people making jokes about, well, if you have crappy food, I don't want to be your Uber driver. And everybody's starting to get there's a nice performative angle to it that's really funny and well done. And then last but not least, local TikTokers. Shout out to Kyle Boss and Samson. These two guys have been really, really putting out a lot of great content, especially Samson. Samson has been excellent, and well, congratulations to Kyle. He has a second what do you call it, coffee place. He put that out on
5 a.m. Yeah.
5 o'clock, right? But it's where Coco Lounge was, which is really like a kind of apropos, clever, comeback full circle kind of thing. Because yeah, that was a Coco Shed. That was the joke. That was your reference. So like, it's a Coco Shed and now it's a coffee place. Like, okay, like come back. Interested, come back full circle. I don't know if he thought of that. It's just it's a good location. That is the main thing. But yeah, Samson in particular has been really, really fantastic stuff. That character or the family with his boy Ezekiel, he really dominated the discourse with his material. He just keep putting out a lot of good content, and yeah, it's genuine entertaining stuff. Like, look, I can't be mad. Look, it's TikTok. I myself have been somewhat invested in TikTok as a success, so I can't I don't sell it out anything or anything like that. But like, yeah, there's some like really actual creative stuff in it. But yeah, but it's interesting like conceit of it. And it have all these like other real clever things that really remind me of like Vine. Like sadly, TikTok unfortunately get admired from some of the worst actors in the world, and that gonna become a problem for the like next few years. But as it is, just from the creative standpoint, it's really solid stuff. Like it have somebody do basically like if anybody remember the video game WarioWare, but like somebody edit WarioWare, but like it's a modern cartoon in the context of WarioWare, and like wow, we in another layer of like postmodernism with this. So somebody take Family Guy and then cut together Family Guy as if it's a WarioWare game you're playing. I was like, oh, that's real clever though. Called Peter Ware. And then somebody do it with Mr. Bean. I'm like, oh, this is real damn clever though. Like this is like, it's who come up with this now. It's like, yeah, only a younger person can come up with this. So, like as I say, it's one of those natures healing from a creativity standpoint kind of feeling. So that's how I feel about it with TikTok and video games. Just a quick mention. A couple videos on YouTube that really stick with me, but like I suppose there's only one that really stick with me, which is the a guy did a 3-part video on Louis C.K. Which is really good stuff. It's just kind of breaking down Louis C.K. and why he was a problem. And I thought this was like probably one of the stronger things. But that's about it. I think the fella from Atlanta, he did a couple good things himself, right? But it didn't really stick with me. But it's still good stuff. That's about it. I know, I look like the bad guy by supporting AI in this sense, but I don't know. Like my attitude is where you can actually make us creative in that sense. So that's about it. Leave it in here.
All right. Well, while you're still there, we could jump into TV, right? So,
Sure.
So Ricardo, you could share your picks. CC, I'll ask you afterwards if you've seen anything on TV that's worth talking about. I'll share my list.
I mean,
no.
Honestly, I had a lot of stuff happening this year, including a move.
Right.
We started Twin Peaks, but we've only watched the pilot so far. But
you are a list of
all right. Well, what I'm gonna say, because I mentioned David Lynch in the previous video, right? Twin Peaks, then Fire Walk with Me, then season 3.
Right.
Thank me later.
Right.
Season 3 is the best out of that whole Twin Peaks universe period. And I would have put that in my best stuff of the past 25 years because people treat that season 3 as a movie. And I think it was released as a movie, but it's like, 16 episodes? Like, I mean, like,
Right.
I mean, come on, that's too much Lynch, right? But yeah, that third season, excellent, love it, right? But anyway, so yeah, Ricardo, you could share your picks. I will share mine, and then we'll close things off with Tracy's, right? In my case, and I assume Tracy as well, it's going to be top 10, right? With a few honorable mentions on my end, right? But yeah, Ricardo, your picks for favorite TV shows of the year.
Sure. Yeah, I just have a list. I don't really have a ranking to speak of. But just a list. Just stuff I watched this year, and I really like this year, and I think this will stick with me for the year. So yeah, number one, Conan O'Brien. His the Samuel Clemens, we call the Samuel Clemens Award. Oh gosh, I'm saying the real active real guy's name. Oh gosh, the Samuel Clemens pen name. Mark Twain. Yeah, the Mark Twain Award.
Twain.
Yeah, the Mark Twain Award. So Conan O'Brien had a Mark Twain Award thing about his career and life, and I thought this was really well done. It's just a good combination of Conan O'Brien. How you feel about it? I'm still on one end of that whole argument involving NBC and how that play out. But yeah, it's really good stuff. It's just his career, his life, how you feel about things. And I thought this was a really excellent show, and a lot of great comedians come out to talk about him. And yeah, it's like, yeah, he's been relatively decent and clean, all things considered. I know it had a big drama involving the recent with the death of Rob Ryan, and from what I understand, he was somewhat involved with that. And now I now hearing some unfortunate news, and I heard that if he didn't want to call the police, and if he called the police, like it's quite possible Rob Reiner might be still alive. I'm not sure because like something happened at a party in his house. I heard that just recently. Heard that, but that's recent. That was earlier this year. Anyway, Conan O'Brien, his Mark Twain thing was earlier this year, but really solid stuff. Pluribus, right? We just talked about this. This was excellent. Loved it. The Pitt. This is a pretty damn good show. It's like basically ER mixed with 24. That's the idea.
Yeah.
24 ER, and yeah, no, while he come back to it, and this is a really damn good show. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. Shout out Damon Macano, local filmmaker. He won an Emmy for this, for one of the episodes. Like, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know he worked on that. I was wondering what he would have been up to after that whole LA Lakers show on HBO that you talked about.
Right. I mean, he's just a solid working director. Like, I don't think he he's tight anything per se. He's just like, look at just a good, good working man. Yeah, make it work, and he's genuinely talented and make it work. You not talk bad about the whole movie. Pee Wee documentary. This is
I did not see that.
So this was great.
Yeah.
This was great. This was really, really excellent stuff. I didn't expect this to be as good as it was. But yeah, this was really touching and unfortunate how his life played out. But it's really, really great stuff of him as a entertainer and his personality and how he couldn't separate himself from his personality, but they make it work. And it's really good stuff. Severance. Yeah, Severance. I mean, it's the other big show for the year. Severance season 2. This was really good stuff. I like the ending. I know other people didn't care for it, but yeah, I
like it too. Yeah, but I saw it after the fact. I was like, oh, that's why people had a big meltdown about it. But like, no, it fit. It actually fits. Yeah.
Common side effects. This was good.
I didn't see that.
This was excellent. This story about drug use might have a lot of like to say about American healthcare and the whole thing with this curing diseases and the powers that be that want to control that or not. And yeah, this is really, really good stuff. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as what I love. The art style is a weird thing. But yeah, I dug the hell out of it. So yeah, on the list. Oh yeah, right. Disaster is my muse. This was pretty good. This is a nice. Yeah, there's a nice rundown of Art Spiegelman's career. Mouse, if you ever see that, it's a damn shame they never do anything else with Mouse. Like, it's weird. Like, we surprised. I surprised they never make a movie or anything like that. But yeah, this was a great little documentary focusing on Art Spiegelman. Really enjoyed this. Appreciate it for it was. Another great documentary. Raoul Peck. Did a documentary. I suppose we can count that in movies, but Raoul Peck documentary. This is on George Orwell. Great.
The Orwell. What's it is? Orwell.
All 2 plus 2 equal 5.
I think I would not be surprised if that goes up for best documentary because I've been hearing a lot of Oscar buzz around this one. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I cannot put this on the list for that because I saw it in television aspects, so that's why I put it in best CB. There's another one that I really like, Shifty. This is a nice docu-series by one of my favorite documentarians. This is Adam Curtis. Nice, weird series about like the history of Shifty, the history of British manipulation of media through time and just in relation to governments and how that works. So he starts with Margaret Thatcher and then he goes and builds from there with each episode, and it's really interesting stuff. The Onion Epstein doc. This was so dark and funny.
What?
Basically, the Onion put out a doc on Jeffrey Epstein, but how they frame it as if, well, oh, this is just a normal thing that he would do, and they just play it so dead straight and dark. And this is like before the Epstein file blew up. This is before it came out, but they just play it like if, well, what if Epstein was like a normal guy, and they just play this thing dead straight. Like sadly, we live in a world where the Onion not as valid anymore. I wouldn't say they're not as effective. Like I say, it's not that satire is dead; it's that satire is no longer effective in today's world. But this one, I think this was just brutally funny and really well done, and just biting at the heart of a lot of this nonsense going on. And just who going to do what and why and where, and how they frame the whole thing as if so they frame it as if, well, him being basically a sexual abuser, as if that's like a normal thing, and like they just play it like just darkly funny. I mean, it's pitch black humor, but they make it work. I just didn't expect this to be as funny as it was. Just like, wow, they actually do this, but it's really good stuff. Next, Deli Boys. So this was pretty good.
I heard it was. I heard it was really good. That's
nice little fun. Yeah, nice little fun romp. Just Pakistani boys, coming together and have to, deal with the drama, and it's really surprisingly funny stuff, and it's get a little dark at times, but they make it work, and they pull it together. I thought this was really well done. Alien Earth, art.
Okay.
The cook here. I thought this was excellent. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much. This is how you had to handle Alien franchise. Didn't love the ending. Little too sequel BT next
anticlimactic. That's the problem.
A little bit. But I still dug this for it was good character work. Interesting dimension to it, and I dug Waiters. This is the next one. This was I think it's Amazon or no, I think it's Apple. Dope Thief, pretty good. Really really well done. Smart. It's clever and interesting in certain ways, and then they make good performances involving this is Brian Tyree Henry. He's really good in this. I just enjoyed this. The Diplomat, really enjoyed this as well. This is like a kind of nice spiritual sequel to something like not the Newsroom. We call it The West Wing. It's that type of politics. The aesthetic of that type of politics. Had fun with it.
Bringing those two back was brilliant as well too, because having those two.
Yeah. And then they make it work for it, and it's really, really solid stuff. What else? Oh, Welcome to Dairy. Good.
But of course,
they cooked. Bel-air. Nice little final wrap up. I dug it for it was. Peacemaker. Good. Jim Gunn cooking, right? Gen V. Pretty good. I enjoyed that waiters. Yeah. Wednesday. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I was like, it was not as good as first season, but still pretty good.
Right.
Of course, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Didn't like this as much as didn't like this anywhere near as much as the last two seasons, but still solid out in all things considered. Ironheart, solid out in all things considered. I still enjoyed that for what it was. The Bear, new season, pretty good.
Oh, you saw it? That. Okay, you watched season 4. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Poker Face, right? Wrapped up. I don't know what the hell going on with the show now.
I don't know neither.
But pretty good stuff. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I thought this was really, really interesting stuff, and they make it work for waiters. Win or lose. So I thought this had a piece of behind the scenes drama with respect to what it was trying to do and thing. But I thought just as a story, it was still pretty good, and they make it work. What else? Oh, this is a nice little show that I caught late, but I didn't think I would enjoy it as much. Long story short, right? Nice adult animation stuff, really up there in terms of characterization and working. I totally recommend it. I only watched this really recently, like a couple days ago.
This is on Adult Swim, right?
No, Netflix.
Netflix. Okay. I saw a review of it. A 4-star review of it, actually.
Yeah. Same vein as BoJack Horseman or something like that. If you like that, you'll like this. Well, I wanted to mention it, but didn't finish it. Now start by I watched our first episode and I loved it. Yeah, Fallout season 2.
It's going real good. All right. Yeah. Well, the second season.
I love it. What I've seen so far. So it's like, all right, they cooked this. I just would mention. Yeah, that's about it. I don't think I have any other TV that I watched. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Ricardo, are you sure there's nothing else?
What else? What did I watch? That I watch, eh? Not what big, eh?
If you all don't mind, if you all don't mind, I will answer that question in a bit, right? But let me just share my picks, and I'll answer that question, right? But before we get to that, right? Honourable mentions, Poker Face second and quote unquote final season, The Bear season 4, Alien Earth season 1, Gen V season 2. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years of SNL music, directed by my boy Questlove. Just a great, retrospective look at all the musical acts that appeared in SNL. This was in celebration of course, the 50th anniversary. Star Wars, Skeleton Crew. One of the better Star Wars shows to come out.
I just skip. Andor.
Thank you, duh.
I don't remember. I don't see double list.
Slap you in the face, but you could forget Andor, man.
I don't have a list properly. It is Andor and The Residence. The Residence is also mentioned. I kind of skip it.
All right, yeah, you talk about The Residence.
Yeah, this is with Cordelia Cup. This was good. This is a nice up there with what do you call it? Knives Out. Nice little mystery drama. This is starring Udo Adiba.
Mm-hmm. I remember you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So that I put on the list as well, right? Yeah, just forget that. I just don't watch the list because I did the list on my notepad scattershot though. So that's how it is.
Yeah, Google Docs, but I still telling you to use Google Docs, right? But yes.
I just have a noteboard. I just have my noteboard, so I just could open it up quick and click, and then type it in on my list.
All right. Well, let me just run through the honorable mentions quickly. I don't want to forget Tracy, right? Castlevania Nocturne season 2. Really enjoy that. Hope to get a third season of it somehow. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Yes. Creature Commandos season 1. Invincible season 3. Really, really, really enjoy that one. Eyes of Wakanda. Really enjoy that one as well.
That's slipped my mind. I know that I forget about that.
And last but not least, kind of controversial pick here, The Last of Us second season. I really enjoyed that season. I know the fans why you did this for Pedro? And that was in the game, and that's in the game that always put on a pedestal. You're mad at all your favorite father figure dead. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it surprised me, but I was like, they actually do this so early in the season. Okay, would. All right, cool. And I mean, I'm forgetting the actress's name right now, Bella Ramsey. Yeah, just knocked it out the park, though, just in terms of acting. She gave a fantastic performance in this season here, right? But anyway, so now to get to my top 10. Number 10, this is actually an episode from a season of a show. Star Wars Visions Season 3, Episode 9, Black. This psychedelic, really...
Yeah, the one with the soldier.
With the stormtrooper, but very, very, very fascinating look at the archetype of the stormtrooper in Star Wars lore and what it means. It's about death, but it's framing it from the perspective of a stormtrooper who's pretty much destined to die. And you're just seeing this in various forms, right? And I just love the fact that you're seeing both the clone of the stormtrooper and the... Finn, for example, someone who is bred to be a stormtrooper. And you just see it from both perspectives. It all kind of bleeds into each other. But yeah, that blew my mind. It is one of the best things that I've ever seen in Star Wars, period. Animation or live action. I can't recommend this enough, right? I mean, the season is decent, but that one episode, by my God, it is 11 minutes or 12 minutes of your life that you will absolutely love, right? Number 9, the 6th and final season of Cobra Kai. Yes, there's going to be some final seasons in my list here, but yeah, Cobra Kai ended things off on a brilliant note. It is still goofy, nostalgia heavy, fun, but boy, they just end things off on such a high note. I can't be mad at this, right? Number 8, Peacemaker, the second and quote-unquote final season, because, Mr. Gunn was like, the show is on pause for now, maybe I might, continue it on, but I have some movies to report first, I personally would love to see, a third season, but I would not be surprised if ultimately we might just see these characters, pop up in, movies, right?
I think that's the plan.
Yeah, but just before we get to number 7, though, John Cena, though, really proven that he can act, though, and I could see, I am seeing a bright future for this guy, right? Now that his WWE, or I should say his wrestling career is over, right? He
properly over,
probably over, right? Yeah, so he could be rivaling Dwayne Johnson one day, right? In terms of picking really great roles and with Oscar potential, right? That's all I'll say at the moment. Number 7, divisive season, but still a great way to end what I think is one of the best shows to come out of Netflix, Squid Game. Yes, this was the season where people's like, I don't like what you're trying to touch on with the baby and that. But like for a show that has been about pushing the envelope, that has always been about showing the bleak darkness in all of us. Yeah, I thought that this season just ended that show off brilliantly, and I just love that final moment in the end of it as well, right? But yeah, it is. I would say hands down that Squid Game is one of the best TV shows to come out of Netflix, one of the best shows to come out of the decade thus far. It's overhyped, yes, but it's overrated, yes, it is. I would admit that, right? But it just does so much with its own like survival thriller premise, right? So absolutely love that show. Number 6.
The only thing I had issues with in terms of Squid Game was knowing what they were planning on doing, having shown that end shot there, because we know that they wanted to make it more universal and have an American version of it, and I was like, nobody needs that. Nobody needs that. Read the subtitles, or if you must, dub it, or dub it. But and that ending, while I loved it completely, was like, that's just opening the door for them to get an excuse to actually do the American version. And I was like, nobody asked for that.
Yeah, I agree. We really don't need one, right? Number 6, I have to agree with you, Ricardo. Severance season 2. This year I got onto the Severance hype train because I wasn't on it when the first season dropped, right? But yeah, this is just a delightful, mind bending story. And just where it went with its absurdity and its sardonic humor and just gorgeous cinematography and, brilliant blocking and stellar acting across the board, dude. Yeah, just absolutely worked for me, right? Number 5, a docuseries I thought you would have brought up on your list, Ricardo. But yes, it lived up to the hype and more. Sean Combs, The Reckoning. Yes, who would have thought that 50 Cent would have dropped this? Okay.
Yeah, it is right. No, I think what happens is that because it has a couple of factual problems in it, it's one of those things. But I think because factually it have a lot of issues with it, I couldn't really get into it as much. But it's still entertaining. And I would argue just one quick point on this. So when I finally watched it and still didn't like it all that much, was
cool.
I think 50 have kind of the exact opposite problem that Drake has, where if he had a track. If he had a track, this would have worked. But because it's a documentary, and it's like, well, you have a lot of bad, outright false information in this. Again, not defending Puffy. I think Puffy did most of the shit, but some of the stuff, I don't think he did. And he trying to make a bigger case and overstate the case against Puffy. Not defending Puffy necessarily, more like attacking 50 because some of it's just not factual. Sorry. So that's my problem with the documentary as it is. Again, if it was a song, if he did a song with this, wouldn't I mind, right? Kendrick Lamar get away with that, right? Straight up call Drake a pedophile in a song. It's a song. But not for a doc. That's no issue with that. So that's about it. If you did that this track, it would have been fine. That's how I feel about it. That's why I didn't really make it much sense. It was like, all right, well, if you're going to have these problems with it, okay, I can get into it.
All right, I understand, right? But for me, it was just really the structure of it all, right? The timeline approach to everything, just how everything fit and, just come together just brilliantly, right? In such an effective fashion, right? But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Number 4, the fourth and final season of Bel-Air. This is a show that I will wholeheartedly say, like I said in my review of it, is one of the best shows that I've seen for the decade thus far, right? It just lived up to its potential in terms of modernizing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air sitcom and doing it in a clever and, very well thought out way, right? And just, going back to what that show was always about, right? Celebrating Black excellence, right? It doesn't matter what your social status is. You are capable of being great in your in the field of your choice, right? I just love how this show, nailed that, right? But yeah, this final season pretty much wrapped everything up on a nice note. And yeah, that final sequence, was great. And that last line, yes, I love that as well too, right? Because it kind of sums up, yes, I know a lot of people had issues with the edgy approach to, the Fresh Pair, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air formula, but no, trust us, we know what we're doing. And yeah, after 4 seasons, I could wholeheartedly say that yes, they stuck to the guns and they just executed everything brilliantly, in my opinion, right? Number 3, hands down the funniest show I have seen all year, The Studio, first season. Boy, this was
I didn't find time for this.
hilarious. Like, yes, the whole this is the behind the scenes look at a Hollywood production studio. Yes, we've seen that done countless times, right? But in this case, boy, it was so clever, so witty, and so goddamn funny, right? Just Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg just with some very, very, very sharp writing here, dialogue. The long takes are great. There's a blink and a miss moment where they actually tell you how they pull off long takes. It's like, oh shit, that's how they do it, right? And yes, it does evoke, Birdman, and I love that they got the composer of that show, Antonio Sanchez, to do the jazzy score for this, right? But yeah, in terms of just, doing this love letter to old school Hollywood, but kind of poking for that, yeah, this is Hollywood now, and all these blockbuster movies that they get tired of, yeah, it's because there are people behind the scenes who want this to play out, and then you have the artists, or who call themselves artists, who want to make great films, and they always have to compromise, right? Like, the 2 big cameos in this show, of course, Martin Scorsese. That bit with him was brilliant, and especially the story that the film he wanna make. But for me though, Ice Cube though, like that episode is like hands down the funniest thing I've seen in that season thus far. What it was about and what it touched on in terms of animation and casting in animated films, I love that. Right, number 2. Yes, Ricardo, you are right. Welcome to Derry. Wow, what a fantastic first season. Annie Muschietti not only apologized for that god-awful It Chapter 2, but he also apologized for The Flash, because I wasn't a fan of The Flash neither, right? But as I said in my review of that, it was the perfect marriage of HBO, of compelling HBO TV show filmmaking, but also big budget Warner Brothers filmmaking as well too. And they just merged together in this great prequel about the town that kind of gave birth to, the maniacal myth who is, Pennywise, right? Played brilliantly by Bill Skarsgård, right? And number 1, no surprise to anyone, this is hands down the best show I've seen all year. It's just, this was the final season though, and yet it was the second one, and that whole show just managed to just do something that, I never thought this particular franchise would have done, and they did it excellently, in my opinion. Of course, I'm talking about Andor. Wow. My one gripe is that this could have gone on much longer, right? Just this realistic take on the idea of the war part of Star Wars, right? Showing these characters, these amoral characters who are kind of pitted to, pretty much kind of go against their beliefs and their ideals, right? To choose a side in a war, right? Between the resistance and of course the empire, right? And just these fully fleshed out characters, right? Including Andor, right? And especially how it dovetails into Rogue One, right? Which myself, Ricardo, and Tracy, we talked about, right? And I'll just say this as, to you, CC, since seeing that you haven't seen it as yet, right? Watch
not yet.
Both seasons of Andor. After the series finale, jump into Rogue One and thank me later.
Gotcha.
How Andor's story ends in Rogue One totally complements everything that he has gone through in these 2 seasons here, right?
Right.
But yeah, this is hands down the best Star Wars TV show ever. I would say right now, right? Unless something else comes out after the fact, that will change my mind, right? And I'll close this, right? Seeing that we're getting The Mandalorian and Grogu next year, right? I would love to see how that movie complements, what we saw before with those 3 seasons of Mandalorian, right? So for all we know, we could get another Rogue One in our hands with the Mandalorian, with that Mandalorian film next year. Who knows? I guess we'll see, right? But yeah, at the moment, Andor, best Star Wars TV show, ban on point blank period. So yes, Tracy, your top 10, and if you have any honorable mentions, you could share them now.
Well, I had this one in my honorable mentions list. You guys already talked about it, and I just left it there. The on Combs, The Reckoning, because I sat down there and I watched that.
It is compelling TV, man. Like, come on, you want to tune in and see what crazy shit happens next, Yeah.
It is. It's some of the stuff that we kind of like either guessed or whatever, and some of it eventually became like memery. You go on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and you see like everybody dancing the way how he would dance on stage after Biggie died. Like, it's just a whole. Well, that's on my honorable mentions list. I have 2 other things in it there, but I won't really dive into those because I haven't sat down to it. So for now, I'll just talk about 50 Cents. But in terms of my top 10, these are a mix of new and old stuff, as in like continuation, so like season 2, season 3, that kind of something. But also, this year has been kind of very much comfort for me. So I'm going with stuff that I thoroughly was excited about seeing, and here we are. So continuing from 10, NCIS Origins.
Okay.
NCIS
this is like the second time in a row, though, because I think you brought this up last year.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, you did.
Last year, yeah. So we're in season 1. It ended. We're in season 2 now. Season 1 ended with one of the main characters getting into a car accident at about the same point in time that everybody found out about like Gibbs in terms of what Gibbs had done to get vengeance on his family, and there's a whole lore with that. And one of the main characters, Lala, gets into an accident, and it ends there in season 1. But what I like and what I continue to go back to in terms of NCIS Origins is the idea. It feels like and this is not an insult to the show, but it's like a lighter version of Criminal Minds. You get that same gritty feel, and the nostalgia is there because it's in the 90s. So it's set before Gibbs got this new team and went on JAG and all that kind of stuff like that. He's still a young probie and all that kind of stuff. And all the music and all the old computers and everything that's there. But it has this vibe that I feel like the main show is, after 20-something seasons, 24 or 22 seasons, like this season of main show NCIS was annoying. But NCIS Origins still had a point. So that's number 10. Ironheart at number 9. I hope it doesn't take like another 3 to 5 years. This is how they do it. Before I end up seeing Riri again in something that is important. And then, of course, Mephisto, all right there. Number 8, The Morning Show Season 4. Boy, did that take a turn. 7, Slow Horses. 6 is Andor Season 2.
Oh, wow. You have that. Sorry to say, I thought that was going to be your number 1.
Listen, well, here's the thing. I really, truly sat down and thought about, like, where all of these landed, and it was really kind of hard to kind of push some up, and some were a lot easier to push down and be like, okay, I understand why you are there. But Andor was absolutely brilliant. Even though it is number 6, it's still number 6 in my top 10, and I give it props for that. But yes, Andor Season 2. Number 5, Daredevil Born Again, which I wasn't sure how I was...
Oh, that should have been my honorable mention. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I wasn't sure how I was very much excited about it, but at the same point in time, it's like, all right, well, what are you going to do? Because there's 2 camps with that. There's the, well, it's not the Netflix show. And I'm like, yes, but the Netflix show and Marvel, it was Netflix in association with Marvel versus Marvel Television, which means there's going to obviously be some differences and all that kind of stuff. And I was really kind of, if I'm being honest, I was low-key expecting him to come with that ketchup and mustard costume from She-Hulk because I wanted to see it again. But it was very good. It was very good. The story about these 2 men. At the end of the day, it's really the story of these 2 men who are on the surface trying to turn over a new leaf, but we all know where they're going to land. So it was cool. But Daredevil Born Again number 5. Number 4 is a new entry. In the world of Doctor Who came The War Between the Land and the Sea. This is by Russell T. And so he's Russell. Anybody who knows Doctor Who knows Russell. Russell was there at the very beginning of like the reboot of Doctor Who in terms of like 2005. And then, he kind of stepped back, and then he came when Shifty came on board. They brought him back on board to be showrunner. And the war between the land and the sea is basically just that. What you have happening is after how much millions of years, this group of aqua people, what we're just calling Homo aqua, they have woken up. And in it, they are now like, well, this has been our planet long before you humans started walking on the earth. We were here first. And the ambassador who is representing mankind is a guy who basically is like a level 10 clerk over in UNIT. He is the male equivalent to Honourable in terms of I am nothing, I'm just a temp from Chiswick, that kind of mentality. And he ends up in the wrong place at the wrong time, but at the same point in time, because of his actions towards Homo Aqua, they're like, we don't want to talk to anybody else, we want to be him. And then comes the love story between the fish girl and the human boy and that kind of scenario. Kate Lethbridge Stewart, who is the head of unit, who you would see from time to time in Doctor Who, because it's set in the world of Doctor Who. She's there. A couple other people from that universe are there. It is, if you've ever seen Torchwood, it is a lighter version of Torchwood. In that, Torchwood had like real grit. This doesn't have that level of grit, but at the same point in time, it is a refreshing entry into the Doctor Who universe, especially given the fact that we don't know, I think it's not until December 2026 that we're going to get first new Doctor Who things, including the Christmas special, and I think Billy's going to be the new Doctor. We don't know yet. So that's number 4. Number 3 is The Studio, which I generally consider to be a documentary. It is like this. The studio is like, okay, so here's what goes on behind the scenes. And yes, some people within the community tends to be like, that's not 100%, but you get the vibe. And especially with everything going on with the potential, well, not potential anymore, but with the mergers and the rise of AI, and everything else that is moving through Hollywood and filmmaking in general, you look at it and it's like, yeah, no, that feels more like a documentary. And then on a side, as someone who's lived in like advertising and marketing and that kind of stuff like that, there's certain things that goes on in the studio. It's like, this is how my clients act. And I love it. I love it a lot. Number 2, Pluribus. Obviously, Pluribus. There's a line that Ricardo, what's his name again? Manunos. There's a line that Manunos tells Carol that I think pretty much sums up the series, which is, do you want to save the world or get the girl? And it really does. It really does kind of like, oh no, you know what? This very much sums up the series. Because, and a slight spoiler here, Zorcha as an entity was chosen for, like, I mean, the clothes, the way the hair is, that kind of stuff. Like from the first episode, where it's like, you look like the pirate lady. I based my character on. You were chosen. So this was specific and deliberate. So when you put that into context of, do you want to save the world? Or do you want to get the girl?
No, there's a great scene. There's a great scene where she wrote some new material and changed the gender of the character, and I like what that was clever. Like, that's really, really, again, great character stuff.
It is really fascinating. And again, like I that said sometime earlier, Carol really annoyed me in like episodes 2 and 3 in terms of the white womanness of things. Like, you're in a room, this is a flight thriller. You're in a room with a bunch of people of color from different nations and that kind of stuff like that, and you're doing the whole "I'm here to save you" and the shot of having
that was kind of interesting. Yeah, no, there's an interesting dimension to this, which is the whole like, individualism versus collectivism culture across the whole thing, and how some people had no problem with it, other people didn't. and that aspect of it. And the problem is that because everybody talking about this is from one part of the world, it kind of hard to how to feedback. And I really, again, I really wish, I hope, what do you call him, Gilligan, like evolves that in that direction, though, and play with that.
It should be really interesting in season 2, so I look forward to that. So that is my number 2 pick. And number 1 is, this is going to be my personal pick. And news is that I'm not getting a season 2, which is very annoying given how much money Paramount wants to spend. But anyhow, so 9,000 years ago, when NCIS was young, they killed Kate, which was one of the main characters. And this woman, Ziva David, showed up on screen. And so from season 3 to season 11, there was a whole scene of will they, won't they between Ziva, who is an ex-Mossad officer who becomes an NCIS agent and an American, and the Italian-American Tony Donoso, who is part of Gibbs's team. And they, all throughout the season, stuff happened. And then Ziva died. As far as we know, Ziva died. Tony found out he had a child. The farmhouse that she was in got blown up. Okay, that's the end of Ziva as far as we know it. And then season 16 happened where, and I'm giving you this to let you know, season 16 happened where one of the new cast members finds an old diary from Ziva and follows up on a case that was very important. And it turns out that Ziva was actually not dead, but she faked her death, or she allowed everybody to think she was dead so she could go and do her James Bond thing and try and find out who's trying to kill her family and that kind of stuff like that. It wraps up in season 17 when she comes back and is like in NCIS for a couple of episodes. We reveal that she is actually alive, and Tony doesn't know that. Well, it's alluded that Tony doesn't know at first that she's alive, and then it's like, no, Tony does know, and they're trying to rebuild their family because they have a daughter. And that was it. We never thought we would ever see them again. That's fine. Okay, we've wrapped ourselves around them. And then Paramount Plus said that within the NCIS universe, they would come up with NCIS Tony and Ziva, which has nothing to do in terms of, it's not like directly tied to the mothership NCIS in terms of, it's not procedural. It is this one half romance, one half action adventure type show, very in the vein of how Tony thinks he's a James Bond character, but now he's living in Paris with Ziva. They are not together anymore. They're co-parenting very well. They're good on that. But she has her traumas, he has his traumas, and now they are on the run because they have been framed for terrorist activities and that kind of stuff. And so you had nine episodes of these two people more or less finding themselves again with their 12-year-old daughter who has been training from since she was very little about everything, kind of like Alias, how to do karate and all that kind of stuff like that. And it was so beautiful to have. And beyond all of that, there's so many of these revival shows or let's do an extension of type shows that just feels like, oh, this is just fan service, or it doesn't hit, or something about it just like you should have left it where you had it and done. It didn't get that with Tony and Ziva. You got the feeling of this is new territory and this could have the potential to be something even more cool. We got 9 episodes of it. New music came out of it. Some characters in there that was absolutely a vibe. And it lent itself to the ability to see more Michael Weatherly and Cote de Pablo in it. And then like about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, Paramount Plus came out and there was a news that came and says that it's not getting renewed for season 2. But as a mini series, if we look at it like that, or just season 1, the story of Tony and Ziva, and it wrapped up very nicely in terms of them resolving their issues and everything that was going on with them. Everyone who has been like a Tiva fan, a Tiva stan for the last 900 years, this was like both closure and at the same point in time, it's like, I can't wait to see where you guys go next. This year was very much about comfort for me. So in that spirit of like shows that felt like comfort, stuff that you can wrap yourself around, I legitimately am putting NCIS Tony and Ziva as my number one show for 2025.